Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality, back with you here today to go over an article I saw that seems to be pretty interesting, and I haven't read the whole thing. I kind of skimmed it, and I saw there were comparisons, as you can see from the picture here, to the Roman Empire and how it has to do with Trump, which is something that would interest me, so I figured, what the heck, we'll go through this thing together. So, this article is from American Greatness, and it's dated April 7th by Josh Hammer. It's called The Point of No Return. It says, with the president shattered, the onus now falls on the deplorables of the American right to recognize that the United States is at a point of no return when it comes to weaponizing government. All stuff that is interesting to me. So, our article says, and it looks, based on what you can see on the side here, it looks like it's going to be a pretty long article. It's actually not that bad. Most of it, as you can see, is just ads and comments and stuff like that. So it's not too bad, but we'll go through the whole thing. So, article starts. It says, the Roman historian Suetonius described Julius Caesar as timid and non-committal as he initially approached the Rubicon River, a shallow and narrow waterway that, at the time, demarcated the boundary between Cisalpine Gaul and Italy proper in January of 49 BCE. In fact, the historian ultimately attributed Caesar's decision to cross the waterway, precipitating a 4-year civil war and the ultimate Caesarian dictatorship, to the supernatural. Prior to crossing, again, according to Suetonius, Caesar uttered the now infamous phrase, "The die has been cast." While we cannot know for certain whether New York County, New York District Attorney Alvinbragg's catastrophic decision to successfully indict and arraign a former president of the United States was partially attributable to an intervening apparition, probably not. We can reasonably conclude that the actions of this past week have cast a most woeful die for the trajectory of our decadent, declining republic. The 34-count formal indictment of former President Donald Trump, laughably meritless on the legal merits and scandalously imprudent on the broader political judgment, represents a genie that cannot and will not ever be returned to its bottle. Yeah, so government has been weaponized, and it is time for the right to actually fight back. And I'm just going to say right now that you go after ours, we should go after yours 10 times as hard. Article continues. Much ink has already been spilled on the glaring legal deficiencies in Bragg's case, which ought to be evident to any competent first-year law student and which had led Bragg's predecessor, Cyrus Vance Jr., U.S. prosecutors, and, in the not-so-distant past, Bragg himself to eschew prosecution. The underlying New York State crime that Trump allegedly violated, and which is the exclusive crime invoked in the formal indictment, falsifying business records in the first degree, has a 2-year statute of limitations under New York criminal law. The final alleged criminal bookkeeping action, a hush money payment to former porn star Stormy Daniels by former Trump fixer and more recent convicted felon Michael Cohen, was on December 5th, 2017. The statute of limitations thus told over 3 years ago. That alone should suffice to dismiss the case. Yeah, it should be like, this should be like a why are we talking about this sort of thing. So, article goes on, says Bragg's theory appears to be that he can somehow evade this and simultaneously enhance the misdemeanor to a felony by proving, beyond a reasonable doubt naturally, that Trump's bookkeeping falsifications were done in furtherance of another crime. But Bragg, remarkably, has not said what the crime is. Yeah, I remember seeing that come out. And he had the press conference, and when someone was like, so what is the actual underlying crime? He was basically just like sort of thing. So it appears to be some amorphous combination of skirting federal campaign law and or New York State election law in the context of Trump's successful 2016 presidential run. But the former has a 5-year statute of limitations, thus it's also told, and is also well outside Bragg's legitimate prosecutorial jurisdiction as a county district attorney, and the latter should not properly apply to a U.S. presidential candidate. Moreover, even ignoring the dispositive statute of limitations and jurisdictional issues, the very thing Bragg would need to prove to a jury beyond a reasonable doubt to secure a felony enhancement, that Trump directed Cohen to make the payments with the specific intent to benefit his 2016 presidential campaign, is rebutted by Cohen himself, who has testified under oath that Trump requested the payments to be made furtively to spare his family personal embarrassment. So there's basically, as it's saying, there's no case here at all. So Alvin Bragg, lest it go unstated, is the same George Soros-funded reform prosecutor who has overseen a 22% year-over-year increase in New York City's crime rate, even as he has downgraded a whopping 52% of felonies to misdemeanors. Yeah, so, and just an FYI for people out there that don't seem to understand what the word is, just because George Soros is in here, and by the way, Josh Hammer is Jewish as well, like George Soros, just because someone's criticizing George Soros or mentioning his name does not mean it's anti-Semitism. We've gone over this in many a video already. Okay, so just throwing it out there to the leftists that may hear this and be like, it's anti-Semitic. No, it's not. Okay, go learn the definition of the word, come back to me when you know what it is. In the Big Apple, homicides are spiking, illegal guns are everywhere, single women are afraid to walk the streets of Manhattan alone, and commuters are terrified to ride the subway lest insane homeless persons push them into oncoming trains. Yet this is how Alvin Bragg, who, along with the New York State Attorney General Letitia James, ran on an open and explicit Get Trump campaign platform, chooses to spend his time, expend his prosecutorial resources, and seek misdemeanor to felony enhancements. But the deed is done. If not dismissed beforehand, a trial would likely not unfold until later this year or early next. And yeah, I think we saw that the trial, the next thing in it is like December 4th, something like that. And in the interim, other ambitious prosecutors investigating Trump in Georgia and Washington, D.C. have now watched Bragg shatter the hitherto unbroken precedent of the ruling political party, never criminally indicting a former and defeated president of the opposite political party, which had been, until this past week, one of the few remaining things to which we might point to distinguish our late-stage republic from its third-world banana republic equivalents the world over. Perhaps additional indictments in those jurisdictions will indeed follow. Either way, the political ramifications for the 2024 Republican presidential primary are legion. With the precedent forever shattered, the onus now falls on the deplorables of the American right to sober up and recognize that the United States is now at the point of no return when it comes to weaponizing governmental powers and partisan prosecutorial apparatuses to reward political friends and punish political enemies within the, sometimes highly debatable, as the case here, confines of the rule of law. There is simply no choice but for the right and for Republican prosecutors in deep red jurisdictions across the country to prudentially and reasonably respond in kind, upping the ante further in the short to midterm in an attempt to ultimately de-escalate towards a long-term mutually assured destruction footing. That's what I've been saying the entire time about this, is that if they come after you like this, you go after them 10 times as hard, to the point where they have no choice but to back down and go, oh, okay, what we did is probably wrong. We shouldn't do this. We're going to stop, and then we're going to go back to our norms. It's a risk, certainly, but I think it's a risk that is 100% worth taking. So the article concludes here. It says, surely there is some creative and ambitious right-wing prosecutor in the Oklahoma Panhandle or West Texas who would like to summon Hunter Biden or Anthony Fauci out the flyover country, right? I hope so. It says, sometimes the only way out is through. And yeah, that's the only way we're going to get through this. So a very good article, pretty short, by Josh Hammer. But yeah, I 100% agree with this as well, is that, again, go after them. I mean, there's actual indictable things you can go after the Biden crime family for. So somebody needs to start doing that. The House Oversight Committee, if you guys got something, start doing something. Prosecutors, right-wing prosecutors out there, go after them, and I mean, hit them hard. I mean, like, really hard. Again, stay within the legal boundaries of the law. Okay? Don't make shit up like Alvin Bragg kind of has. Okay? Make sure you have a rock-solid case and go after them. I mean, this is totally on the table now. And you know what's going to happen is that when that does happen, and I have almost no doubt that it will happen, you know, the leftists is going to start screaming about, why are you guys doing this? And it's like, you guys started this. You're the ones that opened the door, because this happens all the time. The left does something that breaches norms. The right responds in kind, not all the time, but if the right does respond, then the left goes, why did you notice that? Why are you complaining about what we're doing? Like, why are you guys doing that? And it's like, you guys started this. What the hell? You know, and for the people on the right, who cares what the media says? They're not going to be on your side. You know that already. Just who cares about what they're going to say about it? Just do your thing. And again, make them pay legally. Okay. So what does everybody else out there think about not just the situation with Trump, but, you know, weaponizing this in the other direction, I guess, if you will, to go after people who are doing actual crimes, you know, on the left. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. Talk to you soon. Bye.